Welcome back to AM Northwest. It's a new romantic comedy starring one of our favorites, Connick Jr. In Find Me Falling, he plays an aging rock star coming off a flop album and his biggest hits dwindling popularity. So he escapes to the Mediterranean island of Cyprus to reclaim his spark, but unexpectedly reconnects with an old flame. We welcome the star of Find Me Falling, the one and only Connick Jr. How you doing, Harry?
I'm doing great. It's good to be with you.
Good to see you again. All right, tell me about what you love about your character, John.
John is a really cool character, and I'm very lucky to have had the chance to play him because he's similar to me in some ways and very different in other ways. So in the similar context, he's a performer who sort of achieved some notoriety young. And that's kind of what happened to me. I got started very early, and I was lucky, and I was able to get some things going at an early age. But that's kind of where the similarities end, because I was very lucky to meet my wife Jill and get married and have children with her, and you know, feel very blessed to have a fulfilling family life. John didn't have that, and he sort of bounced around for a while, maybe made a few bad decisions, and he's at a point in his life now where he really kind of wants to start over. So he buys this house on this remote cliff in Cyprus, and finds out very quickly in the film that the cliff has a notorious reputation. And it takes off from there with a lot of plot twists, and it's really well written, and it's one of those films where I can honestly say I'm very proud of.
Yeah, it's definitely against type. I mean, this is not you. This character is not you. There's alcoholism involved, a lot of, you know, stumbling around, that kind of stuff. So it's like, oh, this is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen you play a character like that.
Well, the fun thing about acting is that, you know, you get to play people that aren't you. Sometimes you see people say, well, oh, that person was just playing himself or herself in a film. And what's interesting is that's even hard to do, because when the cameras are on you and there's a crew around you, being on camera, whether you're playing yourself or not, is still kind of a skill set in itself. But this guy, you know, it's fun to play somebody who's completely different.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's a musician, and I wrote a couple of songs for this film, but I didn't write them as songs that I would sing. I wrote them as songs that John would have written and sung. And so it's just a really cool experience to be able to do that.
Did you learn any Greek?
Yasu?
Yasu?
Let's just say that, that was, when I went, that's about all I knew. And now that's about all I know. So they wanted me to sing a song in Greek, and I said, okay, and I worked on it. And let me tell you, man, that is not the easiest language for me to learn. There's one of my co-stars, her name is Ali Fumiko Whitney, was unbelievable because much of her dialogue was in Greek and she sang in Greek. I only had to say very little and sing about 4 verses of a love song, which you know, when we got the take, I'm like, okay, I'm glad we're done with that.
Okay, and it looked like the food was amazing.
Off the hook. It's so, you know, you hear people talking about the Mediterranean diet. I mean, the seafood and the flavors and the spices. And for example, I'm not a big lamb guy. We didn't really grow up eating a lot of lamb in New Orleans, but they have this way of cooking it there. It's like slow cooking it. It's one of the best things I've ever had. I mean, the food, the people. It's one of those places where a lot of people in America aren't really familiar with Cyprus. But boy, I'd recommend going there for sure. It's really, really beautiful, and the history there is overwhelming. It's incredible.
I read that the director felt that this was a love letter to Cyprus, kind of showing off.
It is.
Yeah, because it is stunning there. It is stunning.
It's beautiful, and she's a Cypriot. She's from there, and so it was nice to be able to experience it through her eyes.
Okay, I want you to go back in your memory, and if you remember being a hosting our show, AM Northwest. You actually hosted one time, and you've been on. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a few years. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It's okay. I'm jogging your memory here because everybody loves you here. You're still legendary in this studio. You led a cooking segment. You treated all of us so very well. So,
I remember that very well. I remember that very well. I had a great time. But listen, y'all, that's a part of the country that's so warm and so inviting. Y'all are just, it's a really, so we just came, we were on tour, we played at Chateau Saint Michel a few nights ago. That whole Pacific Northwest is really, it's like every time you go, you know, you just kind of decompress a little bit. I love it out there.
Oh, that's great. Oh, one other thing about the movie. So in the movie, you have a lot of tattoos. So
Yeah, I do.
did you keep any of the tattoos? You know, did you? I mean, I'm sure they're. Well, are any
I
of
don't
those?
know.
Are those
Maybe I
your?
did,
Are those?
maybe
Are
I-
those your tattoos?
Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. You know, you got to keep a little mystery. No, they're all fake. They're all fake. And they, my genius hair and makeup person, Cass, she had the unfortunate assignment of having to maintain all of those every
Yeah.
day in the hot sun, and the shooting schedule was all different, and sometimes you'd see him and sometimes you wouldn't. But I felt I was like, man, I could rock these. These are pretty cool.
Well, I wonder how your wife would feel about that. Not too sure.
I think you know what's really wild? I think Jill really liked them, but she wouldn't tell me that. Because if she said, I really like that, the first thing I would do is go out and get a bunch of tattoos.
Right.
So she said, yeah, but I think she liked them.
Okay, all right. We want to tell our viewers, Find Me Falling releases on Netflix this Friday. Harry, great to see you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and give a big hug to everybody on the crew. I had a blast out there.
Will do. And Evkaristo, which means thank you in Greek.
Oh, thank you. Wait, you didn't tell me you spoke Greek?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Oh,
a
then
little bit.
you can't. Then you're banned from the movie because I don't want any judgment from you next time I'm on the show.
I'll tell all my Greek friends to go.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
We'll
The
be
good part is that I'm not supposed to be able to speak
That's
Greek.
right.
So
You're
good.
not. You're not. That's part of your role.
Right.
All right. We'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.